All right, welcome back to another sourdough Sunday, except it's Monday because we had a little bit of food poisoning yesterday, so we're a day late, but don't worry, this was pre-recorded. I just hadn't edited it. So anyway, as you can probably guess by now, we're making the viral sourdough croissant loaf, and I had that stick of butter in the freezer and took the cheese grater out and grated it up, and then I'm adding it into my dough during the stretch and folds. I ended up doing this in 2 different rounds, as you'll see here, but that's basically all you have to do. You just want to make sure that that butter is as evenly distributed as possible. People, I think, are adding it in at all different stages, but this is the way that I've seen it done, so this is how I decided to do it. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, I went back and did this about a half an hour later for my second set of stretch and folds. Just adding in the rest of the stick of butter that I had left over and stretch and folding it in. Then we're just going to cover this up and let it sit overnight on the counter at room temperature. I know some people were doing it in the cold so that the butter didn't melt, but I'm really just not that picky, so I left it on the counter. Our house is pretty cold, so then dump it out of the bowl in the morning. It almost fell off the entire counter, but we saved it. Then we're just doing a little bit of shaping, and we're going to throw it into the banneton, cover it in plastic wrap, and put it in the fridge for 3 to 24 hours, however long you want. And then when you take it out of the fridge, it's ready to score. I just love when you get the little ridges from the banneton. It just makes me excited. Anyway, scored the loaf just with a big sort of semicircle. This is my toddler trying to get involved, of course, at the most dangerous point, never fails. I threw it into my bread oven and cooked it in the oven how I normally would at 450 for 45 minutes. And here she is. She smelt incredible. Like the butter. Oh, so good. Just doing a quick little knock factor test here to make sure she's done. And this is after it's cooled for an hour. It's a little scrunch for you. And of course, we're going to cut it open and give you that crumb shot. As you can see, there's a little bit of a dense area at the bottom. I think it's just from the fat of the butter. It wasn't undercooked. I think that's just expected with adding all of this butter into this loaf. But cut off a slice. Had to give it a try while it's still a bit warm from the oven, and definitely worth it. Would recommend if you want to switch up your loaf.